Okay guys, this is Cruise Roy with the Predator gasser. I've been having trouble with it running. It seems like it overheats from the isolator. The carb gets very hot. I can pump the fuel up with the bulb after she's warmed up for about 5 minutes. I cannot get any fuel to come back into the bulb until the motor cools down. And I can't see how it's getting red hot in just a few minutes. So people asked about the plumbing and all that stuff, so we're going to work on that today. I just want to do a short video. First up, right behind this wire, there's the vent tube coming out of the top of the Predator's gas tank. Right about there. Let me point with a screwdriver instead of my fat finger. Alright, it's clear. I can blow fuel through it. It loops a couple times over the frame bar and it comes back down so it can drip on the ground. Whether or not it's up or down, I don't think it matters. I'm going to pull the whole clunk system out. Remember, when I'm talking, I will say this one goes to the upper carb. I don't know where the bulb is. And I think this is the return line. And then this is my fill. My fill comes out here to a bracket on the Predator right in the back. So this is a fill line. People keep asking me about the vent line. It's clogged, but this is just a fill line. So I'm going to show you my plumbing job, and then we're going to take the carburetor off, see if anybody sees anything that doesn't look any good. So let me put the camera down here. Alright, so I already loosened this earlier. I really hate taking these in and out because you end up losing that rubber. But I'm going to pull it out. I have a brass tube at the top. That brass tube, is going to the bulb. So that's the return line. The bulb is the return line. Returns back to the tank, squirts back into the tank, and that was working. Okay, and then I have two lower tubes. The fill tube that I use to fill the Predator is this shorter tube here with a small clunk on it. The reason for this is so I can drain the fuel properly out of the tank as well as filling. It's just your basic, I think I took it off a Raptor. It's a weighted clunk just to, you know, so I can fill and take the fuel out. And the one on the right hand side here, lower, is going to the inlet of the carburetor. This one's about 6 inches long, and it's got a felt clunk on it that's nice and clean. Like I said, this hasn't been flown much because every time I've flown it, it doesn't last long enough. So I'm going to put this back in. Like I said, the felt clunk goes to this side of the carburetor. I don't know if you can see it. This clunk here goes to my fill tube so I can extract the fuel as well as put it in so I don't have the smell in my house. The brass tube here is coming from the bulb side of the carburetor, and that's the return line, I assume. And now let me place this back in there. There's a line on the cap here, and I kind of line it up so I have the two tubes on the bottom and the brass one on the top. But like I says, it was working. The thing starts right up as long as the motor's cold. Now let's get at the carburetor here and take the air cleaner off. Alright, and as you notice, someone's asked me about the choke. I have one of those flip style chokes because it's a pain to start this without a choke. I know some people do it quick, but it does stay open all the time. It doesn't fall closed by itself and choke the motor out with that velocity stack. So let me take this out. Okay, I'm going to shut the video off here. I don't want it too long, but I'm just going to loosen these two bolts, and then I'll be right back. Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to remove the throttle linkage from the carb. Like I said, the original carburetor on this had a built-in choke, and I replaced it with 2 other styled carburetors and still got the same effect. Let me just take the velocity stack unit off here. Alright, pull this out. Now if you notice here, what I was getting at, I don't have a Teflon gasket here. It's just a paper gasket. Somebody was asking me if the gasket is pierced. I'm assuming they're talking about the carburetor hole here. There's 2, as long as they're lining up with, and it was open. So let me place that down. Pick this up. There's also a hole here. And this looks like, I was worried about the isolator, but this looks like the thickest Hansen isolator you can buy from them. They have a thinner one, but this is already the bigger one. Let me loosen this up. I already loosened it a little bit, so yeah, don't tell me it wasn't tight. I already loosened it. See if I can get this off. But I'll take it off here and show you what's behind here. And like I said, to see if anybody can see something I don't see. But like I said, I wish they had an intake that came up and out of the way and just kept a lot cooler off the motor. I don't know why if it is heat, why it's getting so hot so fast. Alright, now when you take this off, I do have the Teflon gasket right up against the Hansen motor, and everything looks clean in there. The only thing I did notice last night, let me place the camera down. I don't have my camera gear with me, so I can't hold the camera, but what I did notice is let me pull this bolt out of here. The Teflon gasket doesn't really line up with that hole, but it is carved out, so it does line up with it. It's just not dead nuts over it. Am I supposed to clean that out so it fits perfectly over the hole? But it is a Teflon gasket, and it is the thickest isolator block they make for these that I know of. Alright, but that's everything that I could show you on this Predator gasser. And like I said, maybe the needle settings are wrong. I don't know. She seems to run very well until it just dies. It's like it stops pumping fuel and it's like vaporizing. But I showed you the plumbing, the vent line, and the carb, and like I said, I've replaced the carb total of 3 times from the factory. I thought the factory was needing to be rebuilt, the one that was on here, and it really wasn't. It was nice and clean. But if anybody can help me out, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.